Namaskar Ram Ram, this is Vivek Tiwari. I'm again in front of you with another very interesting anecdote related to Baba Neeb Karori Maharaj. Recently, there were a few friends of mine who wanted to visit Maharaj's sacred place, Jaunapur Dham in Delhi, which is located in Mehroli district, and it is based in Delhi. Uh, these friends of mine had been devotees of Lord Hanuman, and they have been inquiring about very important places of Lord Hanuman. And though they never interacted with me on this particular occasion, because we are friends of different kind, but while searching on Google, they got to know about Jaunapur. So one of my common friends, he discussed this with the other friend of mine, and he said, why don't we visit Jaunapur at one occasion and we'll see exactly, because I have come to know, I visited that place and I have really experienced some great things, and I have really experienced the energy of Hanumanji there. So why don't we go there and just visit once this week. So they came, and this is a very recent occurring, so I'm just sharing this with you so that I do not forget about it. They came recently, and the other friend, who was a strong devout uh, devotee of Hanumanji, but he never considered any other place other than his own special place where he used to visit very often, as a place where Hanumanji resides. Whereas the other friend was very flexible about the whole thing, and he came to me, and then they saw me, and they were fortunately we came together after a long time, and it was again a very blessing in disguise that we met each other after so much of mishaps which were happening around the pandemic happening. So they were all very surprised, and we were all very pleasantly surprised to see each other. And then he said, okay, fine, you also connected with this place, you have also come to this place, so we just want to visit Lord Hanuman. I said, Lord Hanuman lives here, and he has appeared on so many occasions in front of so many people. So he said, okay, let's find it out. So we went to the Lord Hanuman temple, and the other friend of mine, who was a little bit skeptical, the moment he had the darshan of Lord Hanuman, he went completely stiff. He did not utter a word. His eyes became very still, and he stood there for a while. It was some time before we asked him that if the darshan he has had is enough, and we could now move on to the next deity. And once we had the darshan of all the deities there, we had some few moments which was spent in relaxed manner. And he said, you see, I have to share something with you people. I never considered any place of Lord Hanuman to be so sacred like the ones I visit very often. But I had a great experience here today. The moment I entered the temple of Hanumanji, I looked at Hanumanji, and there I did not see Lord Hanuman. I saw Baba Neeb Karori Maharaj standing there. And he was smiling, and he was blessing me, and I was amazed, I was shocked, and I was really surprised. So many times I tried to figure out whether this is my own doing, or this is my own, or there is some kind of an hallucination or whatever. So you have to explain this, how this happened to me. So I told him, see, it is for real, because this has been happening since time immemorial, and Maharaj, who's known as an incarnate of Lord Hanuman, has been doing this, especially at this place. It is a very special place which he chose on his own, and I'll give you a brief history about this place so that you can connect with the whole thing. I was reminded of the complete history of this particular place, which was actually narrated to me by my guru, Baba Chandrashankar Sharma, when I asked him that why Jaunapur Dham is considered to be so special. So he explained me that in 1965, Sri Gulzari Lal Nanda, who was then also the Prime Minister of our country, was a strong devotee of Baba Neeb Karori, and he mentioned this to his friend Jugal Kishore Birla, who was a very renowned industrialist of our country and a great social worker. He was also a very, very hardcore devotee of Baba Neeb Karoli. He mentioned that there are so many devotees of Baba Neeb Karoli who are of foreign origin, and when they come to India, they like to see his places, and they had to go to the hills, which is pretty far from this place, though Brindavan is also located. But then we must have a place of Babaji in Delhi, because there are a lot of devotees of Babaji who also reside in Delhi, and they would like to have a temple of his in his name in Delhi. So Sri Jugal Kishore Birla, when he heard this, he smiled and he said, no, this has been on many occasions. I had asked Maharajji and requested him that, Maharajji, why don't we have a temple of your name in Delhi? And he always refused, and he said, you should not build temples of human beings, you should build temples of the deities. There are a lot of deities, you're free to choose, and you can build temples. You can build Hanuman temple, you can build Ram temple, you can build Krishna temple, but not of me. But if you really insist, then I'll give you the freedom. My parental name given by my parents is Lakshmi Narayan. So I've given you my name, and now you decide what you want to do. So Sri Jugal Kishore Birla created established temples of Lakshmi Narayan, which actually belonged to Baba Neeb Karoli. It was on his name, and we should all be very, very thankful to Sri Jugal Kishore Birla, who actually followed Baba Neeb Karoli Maharaj's instructions. He was a strong devotee. We also pray gratitude, and we are really very, very thankful. And with folded hands, we have a lot of respect for Sri Jugal Kishore Birla, who maintained the decency of creating temples, which was not in Babaji's name, but was somewhat related to Babaji. And because Babaji had instructed him very, very clearly that my deity should not be established anywhere, so he put the deity of Lakshmi Narayan, that is Lord Vishnu, everywhere. When my Gurudev told me about this, I narrated the same thing to him. And then I also mentioned how Jaunapur Dham was created and how Jaunapur Dham was actually chosen by Baba Neeb Karoli. Sri Jugal Kishore Birla then helped and encouraged Sri Gulzari Lal Nanda ji that he should make a temple of any deity which he wishes for, and choose a location, and he'll be able to help him out with the construction of the temple. My Gurudev Baba Chandrashankar Sharma was also involved on that particular occasion. So they all agreed, and Sri Gulzari Lal Nanda ji established a temple at the Yamuna Ghats along the cremation ground of Nigambodh in the northern part of Delhi. It was an occasion where Sri Nandaji was very, very pleased, while Jugal Kishore Birla was also equally pleased and encouraged that something of Babaji's order is getting organized. But Baba Neeb Karoli Maharaj was never consulted on this occasion, and he somehow got the news, as we know that he knew everything what was happening around, and he summoned Gulzari Lal Nanda ji to his place in Vrindavan, and he really scolded him very badly, and he was really angry, and in a very, very angry tone he said, how can you build a temple without my permission? And that too at a place which I find is not appropriate to have a temple. It is very dirty, and you can't even make a house of your father in that place. How can you build a temple of Hanumanji at that place? So he was very, very angry, and he scolded very badly. He scolded everybody who was involved. Mr. Birla was also being reprimanded. Baba Chandrashankar Sharma was reprimanded. And ultimately, the whole thing was very disappointing. While the three discussed that how do we, now that Babaji has not agreed to for this particular location and temple, how do we go about it? But then said, okay, fine, because Lord Hanuman has already been the foundation has been laid, we must continue with the construction of the temple, and they built the temple there. However, in 1970, Baba Neeb Karoli Maharaj himself asked one of his devotees that he would like to build a Hanuman temple in Delhi, because it is required now and the time has come. So he came specially, and then the Development Commissioner of Delhi, Shri Tyagi ji, accompanied him along with Shri R.S. Yadav ji, who was the Block Development Officer, to this place where Hanumanji is right now residing in Jaunapur. In 1970, the whole place looked like a jungle. It was very, very notorious because the habitat there, the people living there were completely cut off from the main habitat of Delhi. And even this, it is based on the southern part of Delhi. The southern part of Delhi was not at all developed in 1970. But Babaji chose this location while he came to the ground where Hanumanji's deity is blessing people. He looked around and then he saw a small young boy walking his goats. So he called him by his name, Nur Muhammad, Nur Muhammad. So the gentleman came and he came rushing, the boy came rushing, and he was amused to see the gentleman who knew his name, but he could not place him properly because he never recognized him. So, but then Babaji told him that why don't you, if you got a place to dig something in the ground, can you dig? So this boy readily agreed because he had a sharpened knife to dig the ground, and then he readily agreed and dug the ground. Suddenly there was a gush of water which came out of that particular space, and everybody who was standing along with Baba Neeb Karori was astonished and really pleased to see such kind of incident happening. While the boy was extremely excited, he ran towards his village to call the people that something great has happened. Why it happened? Because there's another very interesting story and historical significance. There was a saint living in this area, a very enlightened saint about 400 years back with his devotees and disciples. One of his disciples actually got into a fight with one of the villagers and he got killed. So the saint actually cursed the people and the land, that this land will never grow, and the whole place will become completely devoid of water. There'll be no water at all. So the villagers were very, very shocked, and they actually prayed to him that this should not happen to them. So the saint relented and said, okay, fine, you can once a great energy, a great enlightened person comes, an avatar comes, then this place will again be revived. And this was heard by all the villagers, by their ancestors. So they actually knew, and this boy also got excited learning that this incident happened because he's heard these stories many times. So he went back and told, while Tyagiji was asked by Babaji to dig another place, and there was a small deity of Hanumanji which came out, and Babaji told Tyagiji that this place can be utilized for a Hanuman temple. Hanumanji lives here. And that's when, while they were going back, Tyagiji again showed his resistance, and he said, Babaji, this is a jungle. How do you expect people to come here? He said this place is actually owned by Lord Hanuman, and there'll be a lot of people who will be visiting this place in the future, and this place will become one of the most important places in the world. And it is also a very, very spiritual place, so don't worry about it. Now build a temple around it. The temple was actually built, and Babaji himself actually laid the foundation, and he also did the Pran Pratishtha on the 11th of April 1973 on the auspicious occasion of Ram Navami. So this is a great significance. Jaunapur is a great place. It holds a great significance, spiritual value. I would be bringing out such incidents and historical significance to all the places which Maharaj established on his own. It has got some great history behind it and some great significance, spiritual significance. Till then, next time when I come out with another one, till then, Ram Ram, Namaskar.